Good morning. Welcome to the 2025-2026 school year in Worthington. Guys, I hope you had a great summer. Normally, we would begin our school year by gathering together for our annual staff convocation, but this year, both of our auditoriums at Thomas Worthington High School and Worthington Kilbourne High School are undergoing significant construction. And we know that living through major construction projects while also trying to simultaneously use a space is incredibly difficult. We want to thank our high school teams just for their continued patience through this process. We believe that what we're doing will serve our students, our staff, and our Worthington community well for the next 50 years. And so we believe it will be worth it. But in the meantime, we all have to make sacrifices, and thus we don't get to be together this morning. This summer, my family went out to Colorado. We have been slowly as a family trying to knock off the 14,000-foot peaks in Colorado. So this summer, we climbed Mount Yale and Huron Peak. On the plane ride home, I sat down in my seat. Immediately, I put my AirPods in and I took my Kindle out of my bag. Some of you that know me well will know that I'm not much for idle chit-chat, and thus I'm rarely the person that has a conversation with a stranger next to them on a plane. But as fate would have it, as I often am, on this trip, I was wearing a Worthington t-shirt. And so for the very kind person next to me simply said, "Are you from Worthington?" You know, this was a reasonable assertion as we were both flying to Columbus, Ohio. So reluctantly, I took my AirPods out and I simply said, "Yes." And she said, "So am I. I went to Worthington Kilbourne High School." Oh boy. You know, now I had a choice to make. On one shoulder, I had an angel, and the angel was saying, engage with her. Tell her who you are. Ask about her experience in Worthington schools. On my other shoulder, I had a devil, and the devil was saying to me, put your AirPods back in and do it quickly. But I'm 52 years old, and so I know what I needed to do, and so we began to have a conversation. And I'm so thankful that we did. Now, I didn't take notes during this conversation because I felt like that would have been, pretty obnoxious. But when I returned home a few days later, I did try to write down what I heard. And it went something like this. So, I wasn't always the most chill student. Middle school was a total train wreck for me. Math was like trying to read hieroglyphics, and English essays, forget about it. It was like a constant cycle of redo, redo, redo. I always wondered whether I belonged, and I certainly wondered whether I belonged in a high-achieving school district like Worthington. But when I went across the street to Worthington Kilbourne High School, it was like something just clicked. It wasn't like a dramatic movie moment or anything, but it was like there was this good vibe that was woven throughout the school. I remember modern world history with Mr. Jordan. He somehow worked through my awkward silence, and he taught me to actually think, not just blurt out answers. And the assistant principal at the time, Mr. Nally, he would always hit you with like this welcoming smile, and you felt like you were part of something just by being in the hallway. Even in group projects, when my ideas were kind of out there, I felt like they were met with genuine curiosity. They weren't just shut down. That's what Worthington was for me. It was this place where you could just feel the warmth. You felt seen. You felt valued. I even felt this way when my grades weren't exactly sparkling. There was just something in the school's DNA that said you could learn and you could grow. It wasn't just the cheesy motivational posters, although we had those everywhere. It was in how teachers would structure their lessons, how counselors actually cared about you, and how even the older kids would sometimes look out for the younger kids. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was high school. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns or anything. The expectations were high. And I think that's what made it so powerful. My English teacher, she was no joke. Her feedback on my early papers was like she was doing surgery on my soul. There were times I just wanted to throw the towel in and be like, hey, it's good enough. But while she was super demanding, she was also super supportive. And for whatever reason, she had this belief in me before I even believed in myself. And I think she pushed me so hard because she actually thought I could reach a higher bar. And that's the secret, right? This whole culture of belonging, it's not about dumbing things down. It's about giving kids the tools, the encouragement, and the belief that they can do more. The principal at the time, Miss Adrian, she had high standards. But she also had this unwavering support that taught all of us that we needed to just keep moving forward. I remember math class with Mr. Zelch. For me, that class was intense. There were times I thought I was drowning in equations. But Mr. Zelch, he created this vibe where we all struggled together. And he was always there, not to give us the answers, but to help us figure them out ourselves. And it's like the high standards, they weren't a roadblock, but it was like something that we were all grinding towards together. Looking back, my whole journey through Worthington schools, it wasn't about being the perfect student. I was far from that. But it was about the constant messages that I received. You matter. Your learning matters. And we believe in what you can do. That belief, totally nurtured by a welcoming environment and backed up by high expectations, it made all the difference for me. Today, I'm working in fundraising, and I'm literally working on things I only dreamed about. But when things get tough at work, when I hit that wall, I sometimes think back to those classrooms in Worthington. I think back to that feeling of being supported, and while also having high expectations and that unwavering belief that was instilled in me. I think that's the Worthington way. It's a way that preps you not just for exams, but for real life. It's a way that lets every student, no matter where they start, find their own version of success. And for that, I'm forever grateful. Oh, wow. Guys, how cool was that? One of the lessons for me, obviously, is I need to take my AirPods out more often. There's way more good to hear than bad. But what I heard on that plane, it was affirming. And it challenged me to make sure that's who we will always be. In Worthington schools, we're proud to be a public school district with an inclusive and welcoming culture. Our doors are open to every child, no matter their academic ability, their family background, their income, their needs, or their beliefs. Each child that walks through our halls deserves to feel loved, to be seen, valued, connected, and fully supported. Everybody, always. That promise, it's not fulfilled by accident. It takes intention. It takes heart. And it takes work. We spend our time and our energy on two important things: the culture we create and the standards we uphold. Culture and standards. They're both vital, but they're not the same. Culture is how it feels to be part of Worthington. It's the warmth, the energy, the relationships. It's the humanity and how we treat one another and the care that each of us brings to our role. We're committed to creating a culture that uplifts people, where every student and staff member feels like they belong. But we know that belonging is not the same as comfort. And kindness doesn't mean lowering the bar. A great culture without high expectations risks settling for mediocrity, even when we wrap it in good intentions. Standards, on the other hand, standards are what we aspire to. They're the expectations that challenge us, stretch us, and sometimes make us uncomfortable, because that's where the growth happens. Standards ground us in the right work. They provide clarity when the path feels uncertain, and they serve as a compass that keeps us moving in the right direction for student growth and learning. In a world full of noise and distractions, our standards provide guidance, and they ensure that equity doesn't mean lowering our expectations, and that excellence isn't reserved for just a few, but demanded of all of us. When we hold ourselves to high standards, we signal to every student, to every parent, to every colleague and every community member, you matter. Your learning matters. And we believe in you enough to expect your very best. And we will give you our best in return. We know that we can demand a better standard without demeaning our students. We can hold students accountable without shaming them. We can challenge students without shutting them down. We can correct students without embarrassing them. We call students up, not out. And so we ask ourselves and one another, are we creating environments where people feel safe and supported, but are also challenged to be their very best? See, I think that is the Worthington way. A place where culture and standards coexist, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult, because our students deserve nothing less. In Worthington schools, we commit to creating a culture where students are loved, where every student is seen, valued, connected, and fully supported. And we commit to holding ourselves and our students to high standards in our learning and in our behavior. It's our culture and our standards together to meet our mission to empower a community of learners who will change the world. Guys, we want you to have a great school year. Go be awesome this year.